Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from BlackRain, Untamed, out November 25th on Steam Hammer SPV. The album has 12 tracks, 54 minutes in length, and this the band's 7th full-length studio record. They are a French hard rock band. For an album that at first glance I considered it to be long, 12 songs, 54 minutes, it flies by. This record has great fluidity, great mobility, super engaging, and extremely entertaining. And I think they achieved this by having two different elements working as one, the structure and the sound. When you look at the structure of this album, the record has continuous ebbs and flows from track to track. There's no two songs that sound or feel the same back to back. This definitely gives mobility to the record and allows the experience to be a lot more entertaining from a listener's point of view. The other one, the sound, is what creates those ebbs and flows. You can't have an album that's that dynamic if every single track sounds the same. So they're creating a soundscape here that has a single foundation. Every track feels like it has the same starting point, but the ingredients that went into the recipe change from song to song. So the tracks have a flatline base that connects them all together under one single umbrella, but above that they go in different directions depending on what the mood, on what the design and vision was for the individual tracks. The combination of these two elements really makes this album have incredible life and incredible energy. It's an album that doesn't bore the listener. It's very catchy, very hooky, and the combination of these two elements add to that experience. As far as the sound experience itself is concerned, this is a rock album at its core. That doesn't mean there aren't other elements or other genres influencing or tweaking the way these songs come across, and some of that movement, some of that energy that we see or that I talked about definitely comes from those influences coming in and dictating a little bit better or defining a little bit better where these tracks are heading. But this is a rock album that could have been slightly simpler. And what I mean by that is that this record has a lot of layers, there's a lot of texture to it, and sometimes you just want things to be a little bit more straightforward. You don't need to have as many layers as this album has in order for the songs to hit the mark. And while on some tracks those layers work extremely well, there are some songs that feel a little bit off-putting because of how much the song offers, how much you have to peel out before you actually get to the nitty-gritty of what the track is all about. One of the elements of the layers of the sound that works really well is the synths, the keyboards, the electronic side of this record. I felt like it added two different components. On one hand, it made the album have that 80s glam rock feel that I really enjoy, flattening out the sound, making the sound more polished, more perfect, more easy to digest, not less rock, but a little bit more defined in terms of what that rock sound is all about. The other element is the melody. It creates a lot of melody and allows the songs to be driven forward by it and not depend only on the guitars to push the listener across a single track. One of the layers that I didn't like was the bass, and this is not to say that the bass sound is not good. I just don't like the mix on this album as far as the bass goes. It peeks through too often, and it creates ripples in songs that you don't really need them, because if you have the synths there, if you have that glam rock vibe coming through, you want the song to be as smooth, as perfect as possible. And when the bass is coming through and the bass is creating those ripples in the sound, it becomes a rugged experience and it takes away from what the track is all about, which is trying to be larger than life. It's kind of hard to be larger than life when it's something that's coming all the time through and bringing you back down to earth. You don't want to be brought down to earth. You want it to be able to fly away. That is kind of the essence of this record. So I feel like those two elements are kind of working against one another. And more often than not, it's hard for you to kind of tune out the bass when the bass is constantly poking his head in and allowing you to see what it's there and what it's doing. Now, as far as the drums and guitars, those are two elements that have an important role in this album, but they use a different avenue to get to their final destination. The drums on this record are more controlled, more one-size-fits-all from start to finish, which allows the album to have some sort of balance and allows the album to have at least a single connection between each and every single song. Because I felt all the other elements are really fluid, really mobile, and they don't duplicate themselves throughout the record. But the drums, not in the execution, but in the format that they're put forward, in the mix and the impact that they have to the sound experience, that stays very connected, and it's important to have at least one element that's connected so that the album feels a little bit more cohesive, and this album does have that experience. Now the guitars really drive the experience more often than not. They partner it up with the electronic sound, with the synthesizers in some songs, but in some tracks they take control and they really become the driving force. I enjoy the guitar sound tremendously throughout the entire record. This album has great guitar sound, great guitar experience, great solos, great melodies, great leads, great harmonies. I mean, this album has just a clinic as far as guitar playing is concerned, if we're talking about a rock album, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I really enjoyed that, and it's definitely one of the elements that had value or added value to every single song across this record. As far as the vocals are concerned, what can I say? The range was outstanding. I mean, talk about having a voice that fits a record like a glove. This is an album that, like I said, the sound has different experiences from track to track. You have ballad here, you have more of a mellow track there, you have more of a bombastic song here, you have arena rock, you have club rock, you have glam rock. I mean, there's a lot of different things happening. And the vocals have to adapt to all those different environments, and they do. And they don't just adapt to those environments, they have the range to really pull it off, regardless of which style of song we're talking about. The vocal performance on this record is definitely one of the pluses of the entire album. It adds to the overall hookiness that this record has. Because if there's one thing that I walked away with, is feeling that this album could have been simpler. Yes, but you cannot deny how hooky it is, how catchy it is, how fun it is to listen to. I just think it could have been even better had it been a little bit more direct, instead of having all of these layers kind of adding so much to a song that sometimes just needed to be right in front of you so you can digest it with one bite. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Dawn of Hell, a more electronic sound throughout this track, and it helps give the song its identity, and it also gives the song its own unique sound experience. The chorus is very warm and very melodic. Great vocals, and the layers in that chorus really help the track feel a little bit bigger. It allows the chorus to stand out. This makes the song have a sense of an outburst when you get to that key moment of the track. It has more electronic elements, more of an electronic drive in the verses. It impacts everything around it. It impacts the vocal performance, it impacts the sound, it impacts the experience, and then you have that warmth, that a little bit larger than life chorus that creates this definite movement between one and the other, and the two are definitely clear in terms of what they offer and how different they are and how they impact the movement of the song within. Next we have All the Darkness. The opening of this song is very dark. It has a dark, stripped nature to it, and then it builds towards a more explosive chorus vocally and from a soundscape point of view. The verses keep the song controlled and methodic. I enjoy that aspect because it feels like it's brewing. It feels like it's building towards something, but it's not quite getting there. Once you get to the chorus, the song explodes. You have a song that's very hooky from a melody point of view, but more so from a vocal performance. The chorus in this song is an incredible vocal moment that really defines what this track is all about. It stays in your mind because the melody, the performance, the range really helps define that moment. And it's not just about the sound, it's not just about the lyrics, it's how the vocals interact with those two elements. To complement the song, you have a great guitar solo that allows this track to feel more complete, to feel more mature, to feel better together. It really needed it. When you have this sort of dynamic of a more methodic verses with a super explosive chorus making the song hooky and catchy, in order for that dynamic to stay really well together, you need something. You need a glue that holds it all. And I think the solo definitely does that, and it definitely helps the song feel all together as one. Last but not least, my favorite track on the album, Blade of Love. It's cheesy, yes, it's cheesy, but what can you do? That doesn't mean the song is not great. If you're not singing the chorus the first time you're listening to this track, you're not listening to this track. It has great movement, it has great sound, it has great drive, the guitars sound phenomenal, but let's face it, the chorus, the simplicity of the chorus, the simplicity of how it's delivered vocally and musically, is what makes this song. And when I earlier talked about making some tracks more simple, more stripped down, more direct, more to the point, this track is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. It has all the right elements in the right place and not overdoing with too many layers, with too much thickness, with too many moving pieces. Just keep things fluid, keep things engaging, keep things entertaining, and then throw me that hooky chorus, which they do sung in and sung out. When you have all of these elements coming together as one, you have the absolute perfect song. And this to me is the best track on the record. At least it's my favorite track on the album. This is it, BlackRain with Untamed, out November 25th on Steam Hammer SPV. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.